It's a quiet Monday morning when Sam Harris, a seasoned private detective in his mid-30s, walks into the small town's local police department. He's used to handling routine cases, cheating spouses, missing pets, the occasional robbery, but this time is different. His attention is caught by an old file he finds while sifting through dusty records in the department's storage room. The file, labeled Case #87-41, Richard Turner Unsolved, contains a single letter that had never been submitted as evidence. It's dated from over 30 years ago, written by an anonymous person claiming to have witnessed the brutal murder of a woman named Helen Matthews. Helen was a young school teacher who had lived in the town, known for her kindness. She had disappeared one fateful night, and despite a lack of evidence, Richard Turner, a wealthy local businessman, was considered a prime suspect. However, without any clear proof, the case went cold. The letter, which Sam reads with growing disbelief, claims Turner had not only murdered Helen, but also buried the body in an old farmhouse just outside town. It also hints at a cover-up involving local authorities, including a high-ranking officer. It's a chilling revelation that rekindles a fire in Sam, something he's only ever felt during his early days as a detective. He can't ignore it, he has to find out the truth. Sam begins his investigation by interviewing people who were connected to Richard Turner back in the day. He starts with the older residents, the ones who remember the case as a mere gossip topic that was quickly dismissed. He's met with resistance at every turn. Everyone seems to have moved on from that time, either forgetting or deliberately avoiding it. First, Sam visits Turner's daughter, Elizabeth, now in her 50s, who is still running her father's successful business empire. She insists that her father was a good man, and she brushes off the idea that he could have been involved in any crime. But Sam notices a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear, perhaps, or guilt. When he asks her about the night Helen disappeared, Elizabeth's reaction makes Sam suspicious, but he doesn't have enough evidence to confront her yet. Next, Sam visits the widow, Alice Harper, who lived next door to the Turners. Alice is now in her late 70s but was Helen's close friend. She talks about how Helen was always full of life and had plans to leave town before she disappeared. Alice claims she never suspected Turner but remembers that Helen's family had been worried about something in the days leading up to her death. Alice speaks in riddles, but Sam senses there's more to her words than she's letting on. As Sam continues his search for clues, he begins to dig into his own father's past. His father, Thomas Harris, was a detective at the time and was the lead investigator in the case. However, the case had been abruptly closed with no explanation, and the file was sealed. Sam's father passed away when Sam was still a young man, and he never had the chance to ask him about the case. Now, Sam discovers a hidden stash of his father's personal notes in his childhood home. He finds that his father had made several private annotations in his journal, questioning the official conclusions and even suggesting that the town's police chief had covered up something. There's a possibility that the investigation was intentionally stalled to protect someone. But who? As the pieces begin to fall into place, Sam's resolve strengthens. He believes that his father was on the brink of exposing something monumental before his death, something that had been kept hidden for decades. Sam tracks down a former police officer who had worked with his father on the case. The man, now retired, has a haunted look in his eyes. Over drinks, he finally admits to Sam that Richard Turner had been involved in a much darker side of town business than anyone knew. Illegal gambling, bribery, and even connections to organized crime. But what's most troubling is that Turner wasn't the only one involved in Helen's death. A few other prominent figures in town had a stake in keeping her quiet, and that's why the case was buried. The police officer reveals that the farmhouse, where the body was supposedly hidden, had been demolished years ago. But before that happened, there had been rumors of strange activity. Late-night meetings, cryptic messages, all pointing to a massive cover-up. Sam realizes that he's not just dealing with a murder. This is a story of corruption that goes all the way to the heart of the town. Sam follows the thread, and after some digging, he finds a long-forgotten witness, a man named Charles Minton, who had been a low-level informant at the time. Charles reveals that Richard Turner had an affair with Helen and that she had found out something that could ruin him. He also hints that Sam's father had known all along but had been under pressure to drop the case. As Sam finally confronts Elizabeth Turner, he uncovers the final pieces of the puzzle. Elizabeth had known her father's crimes all along, but more shockingly, she admits to being involved in the cover-up herself. She had helped conceal her father's secrets, fearing that the truth would destroy the family legacy. In a tense confrontation, Sam uncovers the truth. Turner had murdered Helen in a fit of rage, and the town had chosen to protect him in exchange for favors and power. However, Sam is left with one final shock. As he presses Elizabeth for the location of Helen's body, she reveals that it's been moved and buried beneath the very land that Sam's childhood home was built on. The case, finally solved, opens old wounds, and Sam realizes that the weight of this truth will haunt him forever. But the most devastating realization comes last. His father had uncovered all of this years ago, and Sam now knows that the sins of the past are never truly buried. Sam solves the case, but the victory is bittersweet. The truth he uncovers is so far-reaching and destructive that it leaves him questioning whether justice has truly been served. In the end, he walks away with more questions than answers, but one thing is clear. Some secrets are so deeply embedded in the past that they change everything, even the very fabric of the town.